Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to review the Huion Kamvas Pro 16 4K as well as answer some of your questions from the unboxing video. First of all, a disclaimer, this is a review unit from Huion, but this is not a paid review. So this is the first pen display from Huion to support 4K UHD resolution, that's 3840 by 2160 pixels. So this is a really high resolution display, and this is one of two 4K displays Huion has released recently. This particular model I have here is the Kamvas Pro 16 Plus 4K, which is priced at US $899. The other model is the Kamvas Pro 16 4K, which is $829. The main difference is color support. So for the non-Plus model, this is said to support up to 120% sRGB, which translates to around 92% Adobe RGB according to the fine print here. Whereas for the Plus model, it's said to support up to 145% sRGB and can go up to 109% Adobe RGB. Anyway, the numbers here are just for marketing because most color calibrators, they cannot measure beyond 100% sRGB. If you want to save some money, you can go with the non-Plus model, which still has 4K UHD resolution. You can get 80 to 90% Adobe RGB color support with this, which is considered quite good in terms of color accuracy, definitely more than sufficient for most digital artists and print designers. However, if you need critical color accuracy, then go with the Plus model. Other differences between the two models are contrast ratio. We have 1000 to 1 versus 1200 to 1, and maximum brightness for the non-Plus model goes up to 220 nits. For the Plus model, interestingly, goes up to 200 nits. But based on what I have measured with the Spider 5 Pro color calibrator, I measured 166 nits, which is not as bright compared to what is advertised, but still good enough for indoor use. This is the brightness, the maximum brightness that you're looking at currently. So for color accuracy, I measured 100% sRGB, 95% NTSC, 99% Adobe RGB, and 92% P3. So color accuracy for this display is excellent. I mean, straight out of the box, the colors look fantastic. You may not need to color calibrate it. However, if you do want color accuracy, you of course have to color calibrate the display. From what I can see in the macOS system profiler, it seems like this display is a true 10-bit display. This is a 15.6-inch display. The design looks good. It's a very clean and simple design. There are no physical shortcut buttons on the sides. I like the rounded corners. The drawing surface has this matte texture which has anti-glare, so it's going to diffuse light. Depending on your working environment, if you have a lot of lights in your room, then this anti-glare may actually affect contrast. So I have strong sunlight from the side. When I'm viewing the display from the front, it looks alright. But if I have light source pointing towards the display, this is what you can expect. So right now I have the pen display connected to the Mac Mini using the USB-C cable that is provided. You can also use the 3-to-1 cable that is included. So for this particular cable, on this side we have a full-size HDMI for video and audio signal. This is USB Type-A for data. You have to connect this to the computer. This is optional. If your computer's USB port does not provide enough power to power the pen display through this, then you will need to use additional power source. On the other side of the cable is this USB-C, which goes here. There are actually two ports on the side of the pen display. One is for the 3-to-1 cable, which is 1.5 meters long. The other port is for the USB-C cable. The USB-C cable that is included is just 1 meter long, which is not that long, quite short actually. If your computer has USB-C ports, that's great. You just need to use one single cable for video, audio, and data. However, if your computer or if you connect an Android tablet to the pen display and the USB-C port is not able to provide enough power, then you will still need to use this in addition to this, so 2 cables to this pen display, or you can use this, which is also included. This is USB type A to type C. So the pen display is connected to the Mac Mini using the USB-C cable. It's on the stand that is provided. This is the Huion ST100 stand. It's an alright stand. I would advise you to be careful when you are using this stand because this latch here it's quite short. So if you have the pen display like this, now the pen display is curved here, so there is a good chance that this pen display may actually just slide off. So I'm actually going to use my own stand instead of the Huion stand. This, by the way, is the Pablo PR100 stand. This is an excellent stand that allows you to adjust the angles very easily. So you can go all the way down and you can come all the way up to make this almost vertical. So this is a really nice stand and it's really stable. The other thing Huion sent me is the mini key doll KD100. I have actually made another video review specifically for this, which you can watch using the link that I have for you in the video description below. So since this pen display doesn't have any physical shortcut button on the side, if you want shortcut buttons, well, you can consider this. This works great, but the downside is you cannot use combination keys. That's the only downside for this. Or you can skip this and just use your keyboard. 4K UHD resolution on a 15.6-inch display is a fantastic combination for Windows as well as Mac OS. The size for the user interface elements like the text, the menu bar, the icons, all those are still quite big and comfortable and easy to read. When working from normal distance away, I cannot see pixelation. 4K resolution, by the way, is 4 times the resolution of 1080p. So with 1080p resolution, you are going to see those chunky pixels, but with 4K, this allows you to see your work in greater detail. So for example, here I have a watercolor sketch. That's actually a scan of my watercolor sketch. Now, if I want to look at the details on the paper, I would actually have to bring the paper very close to me. But once I scan this in, I can actually zoom in at 100% or 200%, and I can see the details so much easily. And everything just looks so sharp, so detailed. This pen display is not just suitable for digital art or digital painting. You can also edit photos with this because it supports 100% sRGB and Adobe RGB. This display is laminated, so there is no gap between the line and the pen tip when you are drawing. So when you're drawing, it really looks like the line is appearing directly beneath the pen tip. The matte glass surface has a nice texture to work with. So this is not a matte screen protector, this is glass, but it has a matte texture on it. It's smooth when you're gliding your hand around and it doesn't attract fingerprints. So the overall drawing experience on this surface, it's really nice. This is how the pen sounds on the surface. The pen is smooth on the surface, but not slippery. To access the OSD menu, you just have to press and hold the power button for a few seconds and this should pop up. You can now use the pen to adjust the settings, so this is quite convenient. So let's see what you can change here. Color temperature, the RGB. Actually, there is not a lot you can change here. Let's look at what the driver can do. So this is the Mac driver, which should have the same functionality as the Windows driver. Because there are no physical shortcut buttons on the pen display, there is actually not much you can do with this driver except to customize the two side buttons on the pen, and also you can calibrate the pen display to remove parallax. Now this is actually not necessary because the cursor is already configured to be directly under the pen nib and it works really well. I mean, the cursor tracking is very accurate. I have no problems clicking on those tiny scroll bars at the edge of the display accurately, and I can click on those small icons very easily and accurately as well. Cursor tracking at the extreme edges is quite accurate. If you are left-handed, you can change the orientation here to move the ports to the other side of the pen display. And here at the top, this allows you to create shortcut sets for specific apps that you use. So for example, you can create one set of shortcuts for Photoshop, another set of shortcuts for Clip Studio. Let's take a look at Digital Pen. So this is where you can adjust the pressure sensitivity. And this is where you can customize the two side buttons on the pen. These are pretty straightforward. The more important thing to know here is this allows you to switch screens. So if you are using two displays, if you have this mapped to one button here, this will allow you to move the cursor from one display to the other display. And here at the bottom is where you can choose different devices to configure. You can configure the mini key dial and the pen display using this single driver. This is the PW517 pen. It supports tilt and slightly over 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity. It's not powered by battery, so you don't have to charge this. This is a very nice pen because the pen tip is very firm. So when you press down to draw, the pen tip doesn't move in and out. Let's test the pressure sensitivity. Initial activation force is minimal, so you can draw with very minimal pressure to get thin lines very easily. This is how thick that line really is. The transition from thin to thick is very smooth, and the lines, they can turn very smooth as well. The lines taper very nicely, very gradually, and I can maintain consistent pressure very easily. There is no wobble with the line thickness. Because this is a laminated display, there is no problem with parallax, and because the cursor tracking is quite accurate, there is no problem with misalignment. So what I'm doing here is I am drawing separate lines, and I'm going to join them together to see if I can join them without any broken lines or without the lines overshooting. I can hold the pen at a very low angle and the cursor will still track accurately. Now with early models of pen displays, when you tilt the pen from vertical to a very low angle, sometimes the cursor would move away from the pen tip, but here I have no issues when it comes to drawing with the pen at very low angles. This is Krita. Tilt sensitivity works pretty well, and tilt also works well at the extreme edges. There is another pen display or another brand, when I try to use the tilt brush at the edges, the cursor would actually move away from the cursor, like 1 cm or 1 inch away from the cursor. But here you can actually draw straight to the edge. Let's draw something really quickly and talk more about the drawing experience. So the drawing experience is fantastic because the pen is very accurate. The lines, they always come out exactly just the way I expect them to. So there are no surprises. The pen is sensitive. When drawing with very low pressure, I can get thin lines very easily. I'm definitely more comfortable with using my keyboard shortcuts compared to using the mini key dial. Most computers nowadays should be able to handle 4K resolution. However, if you are using a computer from a very long time ago that you bought a long time ago, when driving 4K resolution, there may be a lag. So that is something that you have to know in advance, just in case. Not having a touch screen is actually not a downside for me. I did not encounter any bugs or major issues. The drawing experience is quite good. The pen is really quite accurate in terms of how it can capture the amount of pressure you are applying. By the way, if you guys have any questions regarding this pen display, do let me know in the comment section below. This sketch is almost done. So you can tap on the display to get dots very easily. And you can draw quick strokes very easily as well. So if you want to do some cross-hatching, you can probably do so. So this is a very simple sketch I have just drawn. I did not encounter any issues, so the drawing process or drawing workflow or experience, it's very smooth. So this is the completed sketch. No fuss, no issues. And now let me answer some of your questions from the unboxing video. So is the drawing experience close to the iPad Pro? Apart from the better resolution, is the drawing experience better compared to the Huion Kamvas 22 Plus? I'm trying to find a desktop monitor that's closest to the iPad, and Cintiqs are no good because they have too much parallax. So the drawing experience on this is quite similar to the iPad Pro, but this pen is more sensitive compared to the iPad Pro. More specifically, when it comes to drawing with very minimal pressure, you can get the thin lines more easily. And the main difference between this and the iPad Pro really comes down to you can use this with a desktop computer. So you can use this with desktop software, whereas for the iPad, you're going to be using those tablet apps. And my general advice for people who are buying tablets or pen displays for drawing is choose whatever device based on the software you want to use. Right? So if you want to use desktop software, then a pen display is the option to go for. As for this versus the Huion Kamvas 22 Plus, main differences would be the resolution. So this is 4K, whereas for the 22 Plus, it's just 1080p, and that 22-inch display is larger and has lower resolution, so pixelation is going to be quite obvious. But for this, there is no pixelation. However, the price for this is like significantly higher. So in terms of value for money, I would say the Huion Kamvas 22 Plus, that is going to give you more value for money, simply because it is like way more affordable. And the colors on both displays, they are both excellent. If I remember correctly, the Huion Kamvas 22 Plus supports up to like 99 or 100% Adobe RGB, so that is a really good display as well. And the display also has a matte surface glass, which is really nice to draw on. How is this Huion Kamvas Plus 4K screen compared to the old Wacom Cintiq Pro 16? Unfortunately, I haven't reviewed any Wacom Cintiqs for a very long time, so I cannot say whether this is better or the Cintiq is better. But Based on what I have shown you guys so far, you can see it for yourself. It's a very good display. What is the experience of this pen display with Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer? This is pressure sensitivity with Affinity Photo. This also works with, pressure sensitivity also works with Affinity Designer. So this pen display has no problems working with graphic design software, Photoshop, Illustrator, Minibank Paint Pro, Krita, Clip Studio. This pen display works well with Affinity Photo, or should I say Affinity Photo works well with this pen display. Any particular reason why you are using Windows on a Mac? I use Windows on my MacBook Pro because it's easier for me to test pen displays with Windows that way rather than buy an additional Windows laptop just to use Windows. Next question, is there any backlight bleed? This is how the backlight looks. It looks alright to me. There is the usual IPS glow. There are some backlight bleeding at the edges at the top right, bottom left and bottom right side, but I don't find them to be excessive, as in I don't find the backlight bleeding to form those wavy noticeable patterns. Can you change out the cables from Huion to get longer ones? You can use your own USB-C cable. You can get a longer USB-C cable. Any USB-C cable will work. However, for the 3-to-1 cable, you have to use Huion's. Have I tried using this pen with older pen displays, and is this new pen compatible with older pen displays? Chances are this is not going to be compatible with older pen displays. At least that's what Huion told me. What about heating? Cintiq Pro 24 has built-in fans for cooling. So I have been using this pen display for almost 3 hours. And this is at maximum brightness. So it's slightly warm, but not like hot to the extent where I cannot place my palm. So I can definitely work on this pen display for hours without discomfort. So no problems with heating. Any issues when it comes to connecting to the key dial? No problem, at least with the driver that I've tested. So I was able to use the key dial with the with the pen display driver without any issues. How's the feeling between the Kamvas Pro, Kamvas 16 and Kamvas 13, the new versions? The drawing experience is going to be very similar. Some of the pen displays are using matte screen protectors. Some of them are using the matte glass, but the drawing experience is going to be very similar because the matte texture is like quite similar regardless of whether it's glass or it's plastic. If there is any difference in the drawing experience, it would come down to the pen, because with this new pen, the PW517, the pen tip is quite firm. So when you're drawing, the pen tip doesn't go in and out. So it's overall a more satisfying experience. So if you want to buy any of the Huion Kamvas pen displays, do look out for the pen. Make sure that it's the PW517. Do you have stroke stabilization turned on? Why is your pen lagging so bad? I've watched a couple of our other videos and also from other YouTubers. The strokes on 4K isn't that slow. Well, it's due to my computer, which is slow, or at least the MacBook Pro from 2015, it's a bit on the slow side. So that's why today I'm using this newer Mac Mini from 2018, and when drawing, there is still the gap between the line as it tries to catch up with the pen tip, but that is the very typical input that you get with like all other pen displays. So today I did not experience additional lag compared to using this pen display on the laptop, which is slower. So it has to come down to, it comes down to the computer that you're connected to. I wish they would add touch support. So this pen display doesn't have touch support. It doesn't support finger gestures. Having touch would be convenient, but if the company really wants to add touch, you can expect the price to be even more expensive. Personally, for me, not having touch support is not a big downside. It's nice to have, but it's not like critical. Please let us know if there is lag from your PC or Mac due to the computer having to push 4K worth of pixels. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a definite answer as to what specifications your computer will need or what graphics card you will need in order to drive 4K resolution smoothly. This Mac Mini that I have here from 2018 is able to drive the 4K resolution here. It can also edit 4K videos quite smoothly. However, when I add multiple layers or effects onto my 4K video, I can see the playback start to stutter. And I do not have those problems when I am using a 2560 1440p monitor with this. It's only when I use a 4K display with this Mac Mini, sometimes I can notice the stutter. The next question is on viewing angles. The viewing angles on this pen display is quite good. I mean, I can look at the display from the side and the colors, they don't really shift that much. I guess if you are looking from the front and then if the tablet is tilted away, you can see the sides will become darker. But the thing is, when you're working with the pen display, most of the time you are just looking forward. So I don't think there is going to be any issues with viewing angles. It looks good to me, at least. Can you use this pen display with a smartphone? Can you edit photos using the Lightroom mobile app? If your smartphone can output video signal, then you can use this with your smartphone. However, chances are your smartphone is not going to provide enough power to power the pen display, so you will need to connect additional power. And I am not sure if you can use a power bank because I don't have a power bank to test that for you. Does it support Android devices? Yes. This pen display can be used with Android devices, tablets or phones that can output video signal. So currently I have this connected to my Samsung Tab S7 Plus using the USB-C cable, but this tablet is not able to provide enough power to power the pen display, which is why I have this additional cable connected to my power source on the wall. So this is the Samsung desktop mode. I can use this tablet as a trackpad to move the mouse cursor, or I can just use the pen to click on things here. No driver is needed when you're using with Android. So let me open up Medibank Paint. Now, the main thing with using this pen display with Android is there is no touch, so there will be certain shortcuts or things that you may want to do that you are able to do with the tablet, but on this pen display it's not possible. For example, if you want to pan, move, zoom in and out, if you want to navigate around with finger gestures, you won't be able to do so. So in this case, I would have to actually use the tablet as a trackpad to help me rotate. And notice I just drew a line there. I'm not sure why. Oops, another line there. So these are the things you can expect when you're working with Android. Pressure sensitivity does work. There is no undo. You cannot tap on the screen to undo, so you have to use the button here. Or you may be able to use some keyboard. Certain mobile apps do allow you to use keyboards for certain shortcuts. The main thing with using this pen display together with Android is you have to get used to the new workflow without the touch gestures. Alright, to conclude, let me just quickly run through the pros and cons for you. The design of the pen display looks great, the performance is fantastic, the pen is sensitive, cursor tracking is accurate, the overall drawing experience is really good. The downsides, this USB-C cable is quite short at just 1 meter, and the latch on the metal stand that's included, that latch is quite small, so there is actually a good chance for the pen display to slip off the latch. So be very careful when you're using the pen display with the included stand. And lastly, of course, the pricing. This Plus model, the Huion Kamvas Pro 16 Plus 4K, this is priced at US $899. It's quite expensive, it's pricey. The non-Plus model is priced at $829. That is also quite expensive. But if you have the budget, I am very sure you are not going to be disappointed with the performance and also with the quality of the display that you are getting. But if you do have limited budget, then you can check out other more affordable pen displays from Huion, such as the Huion Kamvas 22 Plus, which is $549. It's almost $400 cheaper compared to this. The main difference is this has 4K, whereas the Huion Kamvas 22 Plus only has 1080p. But if you don't need the 4K resolution, you can actually save a lot of money, and you don't really need such a powerful computer to drive a 1080p resolution display. Alright, so that's it for this review. I hope it's helpful. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye!